San Diego has the plan and now it has the money. New details tonight on how the city will free up millions to pay for temporary homeless shelters.
You ready for the stabby then?
Going under the needle for a good cause. The San Diego business using art to help people thousands of miles away. Marking a musical milestone, the student composer sharing the limelight with veteran musicians. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Temporary shelters set to open downtown next month may have found their funding. The San Diego Housing Commission voted today on approving moving $6.5 million in permanent housing funds to pay for new tents. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman has more.
We needed to move, and we needed to move pretty quickly, and we could move quickly using our own funding. So we did move quickly.
San Diego Housing Commission President and CEO Rick Gentry says money for the temporary shelters will come from funds meant for permanent housing.
If the funding were not to come back at a later date, then this is $6.5 million that could be used to build new housing.
The commission says the city of San Diego has promised to help them get back the lost money, but that's not guaranteed.
And we made the decision that the more immediate problem was the public health issue, the need to help people get off the streets on a temporary basis, but not to lose sight of the long-term solutions as well. That's why these tents, if they're going to be successful, will not just be static repositories for poor people.
The San Diego City Council will vote to approve the $6.5 million funding move on November 14th.
Then we have an option to renew for a year at Housing Commission's option, which would be obviously 12 months versus 7. It'd be more than 6.5, it'd be more like 10 or 12.
Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Next week, we'll hear about another option for the homeless. City Council member Lori Zapp and David Alvarez will hold a press conference to push Murphy Canyon as the site for a temporary shelter. The city owns the complex that used to be the Chargers practice facility. Sergeant Bo Bergdahl will not serve any prison time for walking away from his post in Afghanistan. That's the ruling today from a military judge who did give Bergdahl a dishonorable discharge and reduce his rank to private. In a tweet, President Trump called the ruling a disgrace to the country and military. Prosecutors asked for a sentence of 14 years due to the severe wounds suffered by service members searching for Bergdahl after he disappeared in 2009. The California State Senate is focusing on the pollution problem in the Tijuana River Valley. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson was at today's hearing and spoke with those trying to find a solution.
State Senator Ben Hueso convened the field hearing to check in on the pollution problems along the U.S.-Mexico border. The panel got updates from the EPA, state officials, federal government officials, and Mexican officials from Tijuana and Baja California. The hearing happened just a week after a cross-border sewage spill fouled ocean waters off Imperial Beach.
We have made lots of improvements, but when we see a spill like that, it's disheartening. It kind of takes the wind out of our sail, but it motivates me to work on a larger scale solution, and I think we're moving in that direction, so I'm very proud of that.
People on both sides of the border talked about the overwhelmed infrastructure. Designing technical solutions to fix those problems doesn't seem to be the obstacle. Dave Gibson runs the state agency responsible for making sure California waters in this region stay clean. He says there are answers, but the solutions require money.
The local agencies can provide some assistance to help make it happen, but ultimately it's a federal obligation that has to be funded by the federal government and then owned and operated by them as well.
There are a host of needed sewer improvements in Tijuana, and there are projects on the U.S. side that could capture or redirect renegade sewage spills before they foul U.S. waters. Imperial Beach Mayor Serge Dedina says Tijuana officials need to upgrade their sewage treatment plant and replace the aging pipes that move sewage to that facility.
And then on the U.S. side, really putting in these capture basins so we don't have toxic waste and toxic sewage and trash washing into the ocean.
A Mexican official at the hearing today said they spend money on drinking water projects for a growing population south of the border, and that siphons away cash that could be used to improve the sewage system. In Imperial Beach, Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Natural gas is leaking from residential gas meters up and down the state of California. The state estimates those leaks make up 25% of all gas leaked from our pipeline, and that contributes to global warming. iNews Source reporter Ingrid Lobet has the story.
The leaks we're talking about here aren't the dangerous ones. Instead, they're tiny seeps that you may not even smell, but they are common. Contractor Dan Thompson often comes across the small leaks on his remodeling jobs.
We find natural gas leaks in about 25% of the homes that we do energy audits in.
An iNews Source review of state documents shows that a quarter of all the leaking gas, which is also known as methane, is coming from near the meter. It's kind of a surprise. That's worth about $5 million paid for by ratepayers. SDG&E says it fixes every leak that comes to its attention with 20 full-time patrollers and 120 field staff responding to calls.
If it is natural gas, we go out and we repair it immediately. Our guys are very well trained. One of the groups that comes out to the customer's home goes through a 12-week class of training school, and they have the best equipment we can find on the market.
Yet no one is regularly testing for leaks at the meter. And so for now, in California, we're losing a commodity, enough energy to take more than 70,000 vehicle trips around the equator. And it's a significant amount of a climate warming gas, too. For KPBS, I'm iNews Source reporter Ingrid Lobet.
iNews Source is an independently funded nonprofit media partner of KPBS. Licensed cannabis businesses are now able to commercially insure their crops for the first time. A carrier in California has been cleared to begin offering policies. The state insurance commissioner approved the Golden Bear Insurance Company, based just south of Sacramento, to begin offering insurance plans to marijuana business owners. The California cannabis industry is headed for an economic boom in the coming months. Recreational marijuana will be legal in the state come January 1st. A new report finds taxes on recreational pot could be as high as 45%. A combination of state and local taxes, in addition to fees on growers and sellers, could lead to sky-high taxes. Analysts say the high cost of buying legal weed could perpetuate the black market for pot and give larger corporations an advantage over smaller growers.
You're going to encourage large corporations to take over if you have tax rates of 45%, because they are the only ones that can actually afford to operate on those. The small mom and pops, the people that won't advertise towards kids, they can't afford that. And so you're actually encouraging a large corporate takeover by having tax rates that are that high.
At 50%, Washington state has the highest marijuana sales tax rate in the country. Puerto Rico is still recovering from Hurricane Maria. Organizations are helping out with water, food, and cash donations. But KPBS reporter Tara Minto says one San Diego business is helping in a unique way.
You ready for the stabby then?
The Stabby is needle and ink at Diego Tattoo Gallery in City Heights. Co-owner Carrie Coleman is a nearly 13-year tattooing veteran.
It's expressive, it's creative, it's a decent living.
And this Sunday, she's using it to have an impact thousands of miles away. The shop's artists are tattooing to raise money for a charity that aids disaster-hit areas. Customers can pick from dozens of options that start at $50, and after material costs, profits will go to the organization Direct Relief.
I did these two.
Coleman says a previous Diego Tattoo fundraiser supported Planned Parenthood when federal dollars for the organization were in jeopardy. Similar events took place in Los Angeles and Brooklyn. This time, Coleman says they were inspired to act after Hurricane Maria struck Puerto Rico.
You know, it hurts to see it, and we just want to do whatever we can to help.
Coleman's wife and co-owner, Diana DeAugustine, says she knows what it's like to need assistance. Her dog, Diego, after whom the shop is named, was diagnosed with brain cancer a few months back.
And the bills quickly mounted to, almost $7,000.
She says the community raised money to cover the costs, bringing her some relief. She says she hopes this fundraiser will be a small way to pass that feeling along to others who are struggling.
It makes a big difference, especially for people who are grieving and who are in crisis.
Taryn Mento, KPBS News.
Del Mar Racetrack opened its doors in 1938, but it's never hosted the World Championship of Thoroughbred Racing until now. The Breeders' Cup is happening at the Del Mar Racetrack. Thousands of horse racing fans will turn out for the two-day event. The marquee race is Saturday's Breeders' Cup Classic, which includes a $6 million purse. Gunrunner, the top-ranked horse by the National Thoroughbred Club, is the odds-on favorite.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next News Hour. A rare look inside North Korea from a high-level government defector. That's Friday on the PBS News Hour.
Today, some San Diego students got to spend part of their day at Petco Park, learning how they can apply science in the real world. UC San Diego Health and San Diego Padres teamed up to offer E3 Civic High a STEM career day. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math, and there's a push to spark more interest in these fields. UC San Diego medical director brought along Bobby to help. He's what they call a patient simulator. He has a pulse, and it turns blue when his airway is blocked, and he communicates.
Ow! That hurt.
And it seems kind of funny because everybody's initial reaction is to say, oh, it's creepy, it's a doll, but especially once you start to really get immersed in that scenario, you can really feel the tension rise. And I think that's kind of what we're here for.
The City Heights community suffers from unemployment, poverty, and lack of health insurance at a higher rate than the rest of the region. A local group wants to help residents address these issues all in one day. The Day of Dignity aims to connect underserved populations with resources and necessities. It will provide necessities like hygiene kits and school supplies and introduces attendees to more than a dozen healthcare and social service providers. Somali Family Service is the organizer in San Diego. President and CEO Ahmed Saeed said it helps to alleviate the burden of searching for help.
Rather than them having difficulty to navigate the process, they will have organizations, that are already there that they can interact and hopefully get the service that they need.
The event is at Officer Jeremy Hinwood Memorial Park on Saturday at noon. We're looking at possible showers this weekend. Jeff Cornish is tracking that system in tonight's forecast.
It's a little cooler out there. Nice to get this break in the temperatures that we've had for a little while now. We're running about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than the norm across the bulk of the area. There are some showers in the forecast, patchy drizzle as well. It all depends on where you are, but by the middle of the weekend, most of us will see at least a shower or the need for the wipers from time to time. And this is the weekend where we gain that extra hour so we can turn those clocks back this weekend, and daylight saving time does indeed end. Across the region, satellite radar, a little extra cloud cover is in the neighborhood right now. You can see the most legitimate rain showers are a bit to the north, well north of the Los Angeles basin at this point. There's also some snow on the map in some of the higher elevations of the northwest. So we'll be seeing this stripe of clouds continue to impact at least parts of California. We'll see a little bit of an increase in moisture as well. So some clouds tonight, generally dry tonight, 60 for your low in the city. And across the area to the north, you may see a few showers once you begin to head north. Patchy drizzle at least, and off to the northeast, spotty showers and drizzle are possible as well. 56 in Borrego Springs, and you can see the best chance for actual rain will be northwest of Los Angeles, though we can't rule out a brief shower or the need for the wipers. Even just some mist or some drizzle can produce a little extra moisture on the road surface and on the windshield as well. So there we are. Sprinkles, clouds, patchy drizzle, and a few actual showers to the north as well. Once you get as far north and east as Borrego Springs, you're probably going to spend a little more time with some sunshine. And early in the new work week, we will expect to return to a slightly drier scenario in our local forecast, at least by Tuesday. So near the coast, clouds and sprinkles, drizzle, or maybe even a shower tonight into tomorrow. It's a little more likely into Saturday. Sunday, a brief shower is possible. We could say the same for Monday, then we go dry Tuesday and Wednesday. Inland areas, similar forecast. Best opportunity for a passing brief shower would be over the next 3 days, then drier by Tuesday and Wednesday. For the mountains, clouds, sprinkles possible for Saturday, a shower or two in spots on Sunday. And then into the deserts, we do expect to generally stay dry, though there will be some extra clouds into the Sunday forecast. I'm Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
A new two-legged robot being tested at the University of Michigan is a rare bird. And Associated Press reporter Mike Householder says it could be useful one day in search and rescue efforts.
She doesn't fly, but her owner is hoping this mechanical bird will help his research soar.
The Cassie robot is a pretty big step up in terms of the type of hardware that we've had available in the lab for evaluating our mathematics.
Loosely based on a flightless bird called a cassowary, Cassie, as she's known, was built by Oregon-based Agility Robotics. University of Michigan Robotics Director Jesse Grizzle bought one using grant money, looking to put into practice the cutting-edge algorithms he and his students are developing.
This stuff makes our old math look like child's play.
Math that, when coupled with her design, allows Cassie to walk unassisted on rough and uneven terrain, something Grizzle and his team witnessed during this first evaluation of the biped's capabilities. The test, although successful, was not without incident.
When the founders of Agility Robotics see what we just did to their beautiful Cassie robot, there's going to be some surprises, I think. They're going to be saying, whoa, we said she was tough, but we didn't say you should be doing a dive off of a mound, but that's what we did.
Cassie was no worse for wear after her tumble, giving credence to the belief that she and robots like her could have real-world applications.
The mathematics that we're testing on Cassie is going to lead to very interesting robots that can join search and rescue teams and help them go into areas where they maybe would not want to send a human.
Grizzle isn't alone in wanting to see robots capable of assisting in an emergency situation. The four-legged High-Q, the brainchild of Italian researchers, is designed to navigate unstable terrain, such as collapsed buildings in the aftermath of an earthquake.
I think all of this stuff is pointing towards a future where we can help humans and also keep humans out of harm's way when we're trying to do important things in the service of society.
Until then, Grizzle and his team will continue on with their birdwatching expeditions. Mike Householder, Associated Press, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
We look deeper into why the Housing Commission is sitting on nearly $300 million in unspent funds. And we find out why the FBI has renewed its focus on child sex trafficking in Tijuana and reasons behind a suit by sex workers against the state of California. Join us for the KPBS Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
The only thing between San Diego's Meb Keflezighi and retirement is 26.2 miles. The four-time Olympian will run his final competitive race Sunday at the New York City Marathon. Keflezighi lives in San Diego and is one of the most decorated American distance runners. He's the only runner to have earned an Olympic medal and wins in the New York City and Boston marathons. Marvel's Thor may overshadow all other films opening this weekend, but KPBS cinema junkie Beth Accomando says if the lines are too long, there are plenty more films to choose from.
Although I was unable to preview Thor Ragnarok, I want to give a shout out to Marvel for thinking outside the Hollywood box and hiring Kiwi director Taika Waititi for the action blockbuster.
It's not possible.
Darling, you have no idea what's possible.
And the possibilities look great for Thor with the inventive Waititi at the helm. He gave us the wickedly funny mockumentary What We Do in the Shadows in 2014, and I'm looking forward to what he'll bring to the Marvel franchise. Score one for the little guy who's got talent. Action of a very different kind can be found in Blade of the Immortal, the 100th film from Japan's deliciously twisted Takeshi Miike. The film follows a samurai cursed with immortality and his attempt to win back his soul. The action is fast and ferocious, and the film is riveting in only ways Miike can mastermind. You can also find work from another master craftsman this weekend with the opening of The Killing of a Sacred Deer from Yorgos Lanthimos. The Greek director has little concern for convention or the comfort of the viewer. His latest film is a creepily unnerving tale of morality and revenge.
It's the only thing I can think of as close to justice.
Finally, something a little lighter and unexpectedly sweet from director Todd Haynes. Wonderstruck. The film follows two protagonists, separated by decades, but both stories set in New York, and linked by the fact that both young characters cannot hear. Haynes' choices in depicting their silent worlds will leave you wonderstruck. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
This weekend brings several events that celebrate San Diego's art and music. Here with more is KPBS Arts calendar editor Nina Guerin.
Let's celebrate local creativity this weekend with San Diego Ballet's Homegrown. In the 1970s, radio station 101 KGB invited local bands to write songs about San Diego, and the best were put on a compilation album called Homegrown. San Diego Ballet Artistic Director Javier Velasco is a native San Diegan. He grew up listening to these records, and now he's created a ballet about these local neighborhoods. Mixing jazz, contemporary, and ballet movements, the dance captures the spirit of Chula Vista, Mission Beach, Santee, La Jolla, and beyond. We go from local music of the 1970s to local music of the 1990s with the reunion of the Blackheart Procession. The San Diego indie rock band celebrates the 20th anniversary of its self-titled debut.
Every day goes by.
This is a band with music that's moody and uneasy, but it also has an experimental side that's influenced how San Diego's music scene has evolved today. Blackheart Procession performs 2 shows this weekend with singer-songwriter Sam Coombs. From San Diego musicians to San Diego artists, with Legacy in Black, a new exhibition at the San Diego History Center. This new show features the art of African-American artists who are from San Diego or have a significant relationship here. You'll see paintings by Ernie Barnes, a former Charger whose paintings were used in the show Good Times, plus Faith Ringgold, who painted the civil rights movement from a female perspective. Finally, La Jolla Symphony and Chorus opens its season with a concert featuring music by George Gershwin and Duke Ellington. But how is that local? The concert also celebrates 50 years of collaboration with UC San Diego. And you'll be able to see musicians who are also professors, like pianist Cecil Little and composer Ashen Tobin Chodo. The concert is called Crossing the Rue St. Paul, and you can expect to feel like you've been whisked away to a Paris cafe for a night. For KPBS Arts, I'm Nina Guerin.
Our Nina Guerin just told us about the La Jolla Symphony and Chorus's season opener. Now let's take a closer look at the UC San Diego connection. I spent some time recently with pianist Cecil Lytle and student composer Tobin Chodo ahead of this weekend's concert to talk about the inspiration behind the music.
Well, there are so many things that I can do here at UCSD that I don't think I would be able to do as a PhD student in any other department of music in the country.
Such as having his compositions performed by a professional orchestra.
You know, when I hear the orchestra rehearse and sort of iron out some of the kinks that are in the score, and just watching it come to life is really just as exhilarating as you would imagine it would be.
This weekend, the La Jolla Symphony and Chorus will play Duke Ellington pieces, arranged by Tobin Chodo. It's a treat for the student composer who traces his love for jazz to the first notes he heard from a Rhodes piano.
When it's really in tune, you have a very unique and very clean timbre, and I remember, I think the cleanliness of it, it was like so meticulous. I think that appealed to something in me when I was a kid.
As part of his dissertation, Chodo has also composed original work for 2 pianos and orchestra. He'll play alongside pianist and UC San Diego professor emeritus Cecil Lytle.
Tobin's concertino is a fascinating work. It is fully composed for symphony orchestra. But there are passages, many passages, where the two of us are improvising with the orchestra.
The concert, in line with the spirit of UC San Diego's music department, will pair classics with contemporary.
Music of yesterday, at one point, was music of now. You have to remember the symphonies of Beethoven weren't openly received when they were composed. And we're trying to intercept that moment for today's young musicians, that to make a place for young composers, young performers, to experiment in a fairly safe environment, a university context, to try out those new ideas and test them right alongside the traditional ideas. And I think Tobin Chodos is a very good example of that.
Hugely beneficial, really wonderful, wonderful organization and wonderful partnership that we have with La Jolla Symphony and Chorus.
A partnership that has just entered its 50th year, giving students like Chodos an opportunity to bring their music to life.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. And finally, we leave you with George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, performed by Professor Cecil Lytle. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.